Watch your back.
Fucking copper.
Move! Get out of the way!
The film opens with a man named Callum receiving a mysterious phone call from an unknown number. The caller demanded that Callum meet him right away and threatened to send an embarrassing video of Callum to his mother if he refused. On his way to the meeting, Callum was startled when he noticed a parked car with an unconscious young woman inside and a man lying motionless next to it. Approaching cautiously, Callum decided to report the situation to the police. But before he could follow through, something unexpected happened. The next morning, police officers were shown investigating the same scene. Among them was a detective named John Luther. Strangely, only the body of a woman was discovered, while Callum himself had vanished, implying that he had been abducted the night before. Not long after, Callum's mother approached John, asking desperately about her son's whereabouts. John assured her that both he and his team were doing everything possible to track Callum down. Overcome with emotion, the mother begged John to promise that he would rescue her son and capture whoever was responsible. Under her pressure, John finally gave his word, especially since similar abduction cases had been occurring across London for more than a decade. Meanwhile, a man named Roby was introduced. He was secretly plotting to dig into John Luther's past and expose his mistakes. For reasons that weren't yet clear, Roby was determined to put John behind bars at any cost. Within days, Roby succeeded. John was arrested and convicted on charges of brutality, vigilante behavior, and repeatedly intimidating the criminals he had apprehended. Soon after, John was escorted into prison. The moment he arrived, other inmates mocked him viciously, shouting insults, since John had once been a respected detective. Many of the prisoners he had arrested before were there too, harboring bitter grudges. Over the following days, John was constantly bullied, and at one point even beaten while showering. Elsewhere, Callum's mother received a call from an anonymous person, revealing her son's supposed location. Without hesitation, she rushed there. Upon arrival, she discovered she wasn't alone. Several other families of missing persons had been lured to the same place. When they entered the building, they were horrified to find the corpses of their long-lost loved ones hanging lifelessly. Suddenly, sparks ignited, setting the building ablaze. Forced to flee, the grieving families escaped, leaving behind the bodies of their children. The next day, detectives investigated the charred site, led by Chief Inspector Odette Rain and her deputy, Archie. Both were puzzled by the perpetrators' motives. During the briefing afterward, Rain explained that one of the victims was an abduction case from 11 years earlier, proving the killer had been planning his actions for a very long time. Back inside prison, John received a letter slipped under his cell door. The note contained the numbers 65.8, which he immediately recognized as a radio frequency. Using his radio, he tuned in and heard the chilling recording of Callum's murder, along with the killer's voice revealing that he was the one responsible for John's imprisonment.
Now you are in a cage because I put you there.
This confirmed that Roby, the man seen earlier, was indeed behind the killings. Meanwhile, Roby was seen visiting his wife, who had been badly burned in a fire 11 years ago. This hinted at his twisted motive for revenge. He even showed her gruesome videos of him killing his victims, though she appeared disturbed by them. The following day, Callum's mother visited John in prison, reminding him of his promise and explaining how her son had been killed. Guilt-stricken, John vowed to catch the murderer at any cost. Afterward, she returned to her car, where Roby, shockingly, was waiting in the driver's seat. She thanked him for bringing her, unaware of who he really was. Later, John dug out a hidden phone he had smuggled into his cell and called a trusted friend, begging for help with an escape during his prison transfer. Although hesitant, the friend reluctantly agreed. That night, John deliberately started a brawl by attacking another inmate, plunging the prison into chaos. Overpowered by guards, he was scheduled for transfer to a higher security facility. During transport, the prison van was ambushed by unknown attackers, John's allies, who freed him. Once outside, John resumed his own investigation, beginning with the suspicious radio broadcast. Meanwhile, Rain visited John's old mentor, Martin, hoping to enlist his help in capturing him, since she feared John would interfere with the case. Back to John, he tracked down the radio announcer who had played the recordings. The man panicked and fled, but John cornered and interrogated him. Trembling, the announcer admitted that the voices John heard weren't live but pre-recorded files sent via flash drive by an anonymous contact. He explained that he had met this person online, confided his darkest secrets, only to realize later that the individual had secretly recorded them and used the footage to blackmail him into obedience. The announcer never learned the man's real identity but had his phone number saved. John seized the number and contacted Martin, who he knew was now collaborating with Rain. John asked for help tracking the signal. Martin then proposed to Rain and Archie that they allow John to have the number's location, so they could catch both him and the killer together. That night, John traced the location and spotted Roby. But Roby immediately took a hostage, forcing John to stand down. As Rain and her officers closed in, chaos erupted when several people suddenly leapt off nearby buildings. Amid the confusion, Roby escaped into a tunnel, with John pursuing him. A brutal fight followed, where Roby managed to slash John's stomach. Despite the injury, John overpowered him, though both men fled when the police arrived. Afterward, Roby contacted his mole inside the police, revealed to be Archie. He threatened to release Archie's compromising secrets unless he eliminated John. It became clear that Roby's victims were all people he had manipulated online, gaining their trust, then exploiting their shameful confessions to control them. John soon called Martin again, this time on speaker, explaining his theory. The victims had met Roby online, thinking he was a friend they could confide in. But he weaponized their darkest fears against them. According to John, their terror of humiliation had become even stronger than their fear of death, just like the desperate people who had jumped from the rooftops.
None of them were vulnerable in the typical way.
Earlier that same day, the scene shifted to a girl named Anya, who was spending time alone in her house. Soon, she heard her name being called, and to her shock, it was Roby, who had come with the intention of kidnapping her.